Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thanks for clicking on this video if you're new here. First of all, I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who's been watching and commenting on my latest videos. That means the world to me. They're doing really well. I'm really proud of the new format that I'm taking on, and I also wanted to address the headphone situation because there are people who say that they hear it in one headphone. I'm recording in stereo, not mono, which does like one headphone, but I've noticed that even when I listen to things with my AirPods, including my recent videos, they only pick up in one headphone, and then sometimes both will come in, even though I'm recording the same way I've always recorded, with the same software that I've always used. But then also, if I listen with regular wired headphones on my computer, it's two earphones. So it may just be a weird Apple thing going on. So yeah, there's nothing that I can do to fix it because I checked my settings before I hit record here, and it's the same stereo way that I've always been recording. So I have no idea what really the problem is. So I'm sorry about that. But okay, let's get into this video. And also, if you like this, please like, share, comment, subscribe, and hype it because it really helps me out. So thank you. In her 2017 engagement interview, Meghan Markle said she didn't know much about Prince Harry before they met. She said she just now realized after getting engaged that there was a global interest in the royal family, and also positioned herself as an American who was blissfully unaware of what she was getting into. Then, in 2021, during the Oprah interview, she went even further, claiming that she didn't Google Harry and she didn't know the details of royal protocol or history. But here's the problem with that story. In 2014, 2 years before she met Harry, Meghan wrote a blog post on the TIG about Princess Kate, royal weddings, and afternoon tea being invented by a duchess. She wasn't just casually aware of the royals, she was writing about them, referencing them, using them as cultural touchpoints. So which version is true? Let's break it down. Little girls dream of being princesses. I, for one, was all about She-Ra, Princess of Power, and grown women seem to retain this childhood fantasy. Just look at the pomp and circumstance surrounding the royal wedding and endless conversation about Princess Kate. So when my dear friend, Misan Harriman, introduced me to Princess Aliyah Al-Sanusi, I had a bit of a pinch me, I'm emailing with a princess moment. The Al-Sanusi family was exiled from Libya when Gaddafi seized the throne in a coup d'etat. But that hasn't stopped Aliyah from flexing her respective royal muscle. Aliyah is on the board of trustees for the Global Heritage Fund, where she concentrates on their activities in Libya. So yeah, she's cool. She graduated from Brown in 2003 with a double major in International Relations and Middle East Studies. She also has her MSc in Law, Anthropology and Science from the London School of Economics and is working on her PhD in Middle Eastern politics. So yeah, she's smart. As VIP Relations for Art Basel, the world's premier international art show for modern and contemporary works, she actively promotes Middle Eastern art on a global level. Shifting preconceived notions and advancing the understanding of some lesser-known works is all part of a day job for this incredible woman of the world. It is my pleasure to find out what gets this princess ticking in her TikTok. So during these TikToks, Meghan would send a series of 6 questions, just very short, basic questions to each person to answer, and I'm going to read them out loud. Number 1. My nickname is Aliyah, and some friends dip in and out of calling me Sanus, which I hate. 2. The first thing I do when I wake up is check my emails, boring, but that little red flashing light kills me. Then the New York Times, all in bed on my phone. 3. I can't live without my BlackBerry. Yes, I know I should join my generation and embrace iPhone and Samsung, but I just love the keyboard on a BlackBerry. 4. If I had 1 week to escape, go to a quiet island and swim, sun, and relax. If I only had $10 in my pocket, I would buy a Starbucks soy latte, iced or hot, depending on the season. 6. Everything tastes better with a little butter, thanks to my Minnesotan grandmother's lifelong instruction. And that's the end of it. So, what Meghan would do with these TikToks and the TIG in general was not necessarily talk to people or interview them. The most conversation that she would have with these people, every single TikTok is exactly the same. The same 6 questions. What's your nickname? What's the first thing you do when you wake up? What you can't live without? If you had 1 week to escape? If you had $10 in your pocket? And everything tastes better with. She was not interviewing people. She was not having groundbreaking conversations. And everything beforehand would literally be just a buttered up biography of these people. She said that pinch me, I'm emailing with a princess moment. She's excited about emailing with a princess. She's name dropping the interaction. She's framing princesses as aspirational, fascinating, and worth writing about. This is someone who's clearly interested in royalty. Someone who finds the concept of princesses culturally significant enough to reference on her lifestyle blog. Because if she was just, oh, I'm a modern woman, that stuff is so outdated and antiquated, she would not even be talking about the fact that this woman is a princess. But then it also is, oh, she's so political, she's this, she's that. And at the same time, she talks about the pomp and circumstance around Princess Kate and endless conversation, but years after the wedding. This was 3 years after the wedding in 2014. So whatever jealousy, I'm going to say it, jealousy that Meghan had towards Catherine was so evident that years after the wedding, Meghan is like, it sounds so bitter, right? That grown women retain this childhood fantasy of being a princess. So, and then you mentioned Catherine. So what are you trying to say? That Catherine had this childhood fantasy of being a princess? So that's how she married a prince? Then what about you, Meghan? Endless conversation, because I know Catherine was pregnant. I know they went on a tour to Canada, so Meghan was there and probably very annoyed by that. And then she gave birth to Prince George, and famously the Obamas went and met Prince George at one point, and that was like viral. So she was just bitter and seething, because someone who's not bitter would not write something like that. And this is how we see that Misan Harriman has been in Meghan and Harry's life. Well, has been in Meghan's life at least for forever, since way before Harry, because I thought that they met somehow in Britain, but she knew him. She's talking about him in 2014. But wait, there's more. Meghan also wrote about afternoon tea on the Tig, and in that post she referenced the history of the tradition, including the fact that a duchess invented it. And I'm going to read the whole article for you right now. This was written February 19th, 2015. One afternoon in the 1840s, Anna, the 7th Duchess of Bedford, complained of that sinking feeling in her stomach. She was brought a pot of tea and a light snack in her boudoir to relieve the hunger pangs. The lady loved her little snack so much that she began inviting her friends to join her, and Anna must have been one popular gal, because before long, this pause for tea became a seriously fashionable social event. Nowadays, we may not be putting on our white gloves, heavy corsets to sip some tea at 4 p.m., but the tradition, with some minor modern improvements, still remains very relevant, especially when the late afternoon lethargy sinks in. The Tig sat down with a tea sommelier. Who knew? Kylie Holiday of the Boise Tea Parlor to see how to create that perfect afternoon tea service. Let's break down what this shows. 1. She knew about aristocratic titles and British history. She's writing about the 7th Duchess of Bedford by name. She knows the decade, the 1840s. She understands the context of British aristocratic social customs. 2. She researched this. This isn't just common knowledge. She didn't just know that afternoon tea existed. She knew who invented it, when, and how it became a fashionable tradition. She dedicated an entire Tig post to British aristocratic etiquette and history. This wasn't just passing knowledge. This was something she found culinarily significant enough to share with her audience. So Meghan knew about royal weddings and their cultural impact, about quote-unquote Princess Kate and the media coverage surrounding her, about the 7th Duchess of Bedford and the invention of afternoon tea, about British aristocratic social customs and etiquette. Yet, in 2017, she claimed she didn't know much about Prince Harry or the royal family, and then now understood that there was a quote-unquote global interest there, when she herself was an American born and raised in America who had visited London as a teenager, stood outside Buckingham Palace, and then now she's in Canada blogging about afternoon tea, and then she says she doesn't know anything about this family or the history of the British peerages and whatever, which is literally a lie from her own blog post. And this is why Meghan is so contradictory, and this is why people don't like her. And this is also why she doesn't revamp the Tig. People would literally find out that it was all a lie from the beginning because she knew all about this family. Now let's add another layer. In the Oprah interview, Meghan also revealed that she was friends with Princess Eugenie before she met Harry. Princess Eugenie, a literal British princess, granddaughter of Queen Elizabeth II. So Meghan was writing about Princess Kate on her blog, referencing royal weddings and their cultural significance, writing about duchesses and afternoon tea traditions, friends with Princess Eugenie, but she wants us to believe she didn't know much about the royals and that she didn't research Harry and that she went into this blind. That doesn't add up. If you're friends with Princess Eugenie, you're aware of the royal family, you know the dynamics, you understand the hierarchy, you've probably heard stories. You don't get to claim ignorance when you've been blogging about Catherine and hanging out with Princess Eugenie. Now some people might say, so what? She wrote a couple of blog posts mentioning royalty, but that doesn't mean that she was obsessed or knew everything about Harry. And that's fair to a point. But here's why this matters. Meghan built an entire narrative around being unprepared. She said she didn't know what she was getting into. She said she wasn't protected. She said she didn't understand the protocols, the history, the expectation. She said she didn't know the national anthem. And a lot of her critiques of the royal family were framed around this idea that she was an outsider who was thrown into a system she didn't understand without support or guidance. The Queen had a private equerry help her with etiquette, and Meghan turned that down. And even according to Omid Scobie, Meghan had binders and binders of royal etiquette. This isn't the first time that Meghan has rewritten her own history. Remember the Fashion Week timeline? She went once in 2013 and then in 2014 wrote about attending for years. In 2014, when she was running the TIG and trying to build her lifestyle brand, it served her to write about the Duchess of Cambridge, royal weddings, and aristocratic traditions. It made her seem cultured, aspirational, connected to elite circles. But in 2017, when she was engaged to Harry, it served her to seem like an outsider, someone who didn't know much, someone who was swept off her feet by love, not fascinated by titles. And in 2021, when she was building her post-royal brand and doing the Oprah interview, it served her to seem like a victim of a system she didn't understand and wasn't prepared for. The story changes on what Meghan needs it to be, but the receipts don't lie. So, did Meghan Markle know much about royalty before she met Prince Harry? Her own blog says yes. She wasn't blind to this world. She was aware. She was interested. She was writing about it. And yet, she built an entire narrative around being unprepared, uninformed, and thrown into a system she didn't understand. Why? Because that narrative served her. It made her relatable. It made her sympathetic. It positioned her as a victim rather than someone who knew exactly what she was signing up for. But the blog posts remain, the references remain, the evidence remains, and it tells a very different story than the one Meghan wants us to believe. You can't write about the pomp and circumstance surrounding the royal wedding and endless conversation about Princess Kate, then claim you didn't know much about the royals. You can't have your picture taken with a tabloid with Catherine on the cover and then say you didn't know much about the family. You can't be friends with Princess Eugenie and act like you were completely unaware of royal protocol and family dynamics. You can't have it both ways. But Meghan Markle has always tried to have it both ways. And eventually, the receipts catch up. And if you want to watch my ultimate deep dive, which is almost an hour of content, I have a video on my Patreon that you can purchase for $3 called The Meghan Markle Files, where I lay every single thing out from her days as a struggling actress after leaving the royal family where everything fell apart. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you. Bye-bye.